Mr. Parsons, can I get a sound check from you?
Hey, Mr. Twiddell, can you hear me?
I can. How are you on that side?
Perfect.
Mr. Parsons,
I'm sorry, say again.
can you hear me? Mr. Parsons, can you hear me?
There you go, Mr. Twiddell. We hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I heard that. Thanks. I'm gonna go mute.
It appears that Mr. Twiddell has stepped away for a moment. All your folks online are in.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. So if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I'm going to open public comment and just mention, I know we have a number of folks here tonight that want to speak to the ILES issue, which is the first item coming up under business. And if you would keep your comments for then, that would be great. I'd appreciate it so we can just focus on that one issue. Caleb Terrio is not here this evening, so we have no student update. We have the minutes from the May 12th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes is presented.
Moved and seconded. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Twiddell has raised his hand.
Can you please? Oh, Ed, go ahead.
Hey, so two items. One, the minutes do not reflect that I left after the non-public portion. I would like to have that correction made so there's no question about votes, abstentions, so on and so forth in the future. And two, the notes contain no mention of the board's discussion of the issue of the winter room and the assistant principal and so on and so forth. So the first mention of that is the vote that the board took in public session. I'd like to have at least some mention, discussion of that included in the minutes. Thank you.
And Mr. Twiddell, just so you know, the board can't see you. They can hear you loud and clear. So if you raise your hand for a vote, I can make sure that they see visually what you're doing. Does that make sense?
I think I understand. Thank you, Mr. Parsons.
Sure, we'll bring those minutes back in August. Current bills payable, general operating expenses.
Thank you. On page 49 of your packet, you have manifest 3023, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Ms. Dolph, I do have a couple of questions. Allow me to catch up with you. Ms. Dolph, on page 49, check number 117089, vendor number 35199, Safe Wheels LLC, for $10,000.70 student transportation. Is that for special needs transportation, or is that there's something outside of first student that we're doing?
Yes, it's for special education transportation.
I'm sorry, I could not hear you.
Yes, special education transportation.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the manifest? Motion to approve? Thank
So
you. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
All right.
Thank you. Next up, we have the enrollment report.
So we are ending the year looking at 898 students. Back in August, we started with 902, so we have a differential of 4. But obviously, that's more than just 4 students, but from just looking straight at a number, we are down 4 students from where we started in August.
Thank you. Any other questions, Superintendent?
Mary, we ended June of 25 with 920 folks, 920 enrollments. Is there some explanation for the differential? As we're down to 898 now, that's 22. Now some of that could be graduating, fluctuations in class size, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, that seems to be a trend.
I'll have to look into that and give you more specifics
Okay.
another time.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding enrollment? Hearing none. Staffing update.
So you have in your packet on page 55 our monthly staffing update. We're ending at about 5.4% of the positions in the paraeducator pool open. We are in the process now of preparing for next year. We do have some paraeducators that have either are planning to retire or planning not to return. So we'll be working on filling those positions.
Any other questions for the superintendent?
So it is online. If you are able to pull up on your phone the full complete packet, we only publish the actual agenda for the meetings. But all of the information is online, and you can access that through your phone if you'd like.
Thank you. Mr. Parsons, that little dink-dink sound we hear every so often, does that have any sort of significance?
Another option for families, just to jump in, is Parent Square. When we push out the agenda, that is the full agenda. So if you have your phone and you get on Parent Square, the agenda link will be a link to the full packet.
To answer your question, that doorbell is people asking to get in because we don't have the meeting wide open. We just have to let people in.
Okay.
So I assume it should drop off now that the meeting has started, but Jason's unable to mute that, or else people won't be able to hear your microphones at the same time.
Sure.
So
Just so we know. I thought it was Ed raising his hand.
no, it's not.
Year-to-date financial report, Ms. Dolph.
Thank you. On page 56 of your packet is our current year-to-date report. We are, as of today, have about 3% left of our budget, so available dollars, or just over $1 million. About 800,000 of that available is wages and benefits, and the other just under 300,000 is related to unused contracted service. I'm happy to answer any questions if the board has any.
Questions for Ms. Dolph? All right. Thank you, Ashley. All right, next up, we have the ILES update. Mrs. Moriarty, do you want to give a brief introduction?
Sure. So I did send out a comprehensive communication this past Saturday to our community, outlining the rationale for adding an additional assistant principal at ILES. The board did ask that the funding come through the existing approved budget so that no additional funds were added. Working to do that, I did identify changing our program assistants to reduce those 2 positions in each building, and work to then add the additional assistant principal to ILES. I am proposing tonight through fund balance that the board at least consider adding 2 additional building paras to support student services. So the current design has 1 para in each of the buildings supporting the administration. This would be to add an additional para to that. So there would be 2 para educators supporting student services in each of the buildings.
Thank you. So I just want to mention before I open it up for public comment, because I know a lot of folks want to comment, we have received a number of emails over the last week plus, and that they have gone to the entire board and are part of the record. We even got one as late as today that we just received tonight from the class of 2020, which we have all read, and that is part of the record. So with that, I am going to just remind folks to please keep your comments direct and to the point, because there are a lot of folks that want to speak. I don't want to put any time limits on folks. You go ahead and say what you need to say, but please be direct and on point, and please be civil. Simple as that. So with that, the microphones are open, and if you just go up, I'll recognize you, you state your name and where you live, the town you're from, and away you go. You can come down here or go up there.
Hi, I'm Alana Bianco. I live here in Meredith. So interestingly enough, the only other time I've had to come and speak to you all was the last time that there was a rushed decision regarding administration at the elementary school. Otherwise, my kids have had a phenomenal experience at these schools. So I have some prepared statements so I don't get sideways, which is easy to do when you're frustrated at a situation. So bear with me here. All right, so I am here speaking to you as a parent, a former special educator, and someone with a lot of experience with the MTSS and school-wide behavior systems. I want to focus on just the one core issue, or not the one core issue. There are way too many to really spend time discussing right now. But what I'm seeing in what was put out and what I've been noticing is that the district is really diagnosing the wrong problem. As a result, I feel like we are rushing towards a solution that will not fix the underlying causes of the behavior crisis at the elementary school. The superintendent's letter states that 25% of the students require behavior responses outside the classroom, and in a properly functioning MTSS system, Tier 1 should support 80 to 90% of the students. When Tier 1 is effective, only about 10 to 20% of the students should need Tier 2 support systems, which is those interventions that she is discussing. So if 25% of the students are in Tier 2, this isn't really a student problem, this is a Tier 1 problem, which you sort of alluded to, but let's talk about what that really looks like here. Per your own language, per district's own language, it really confirms that this has all been fairly rushed. The letter repeatedly uses phrases like working to formalize, piloting, beginning stages, last spring we just started. Language like that doesn't indicate a stabilized program, right? So this tells us that Tier 1 has not been fully implemented, given time to stabilize, or evaluated with real data. MTSSB requires months, often years of consistent implementation, progress monitoring, and staff alignment. As far as we can tell, the parents, that's not really been going on. We don't know this stuff. The letter that was put out really didn't give much to go off. It was like, oh, here's a program that we might have done or we're thinking about doing. We refined a little bit. We've piloted it in one classroom. Awesome. Those are great things. I'm not discrediting that. What I'm looking at is the longevity here, the fidelity. Okay. Before eliminating long-standing support rooms, removing 2 experienced educators who have been known to essentially specialize in these behavior supports, and then hiring a second assistant principal for a relatively small school, mind you. I worked at a high school in Florida where we had 3 assistant principals and 3,000 students. Okay, so let's have some perspective there. The community deserves some answers to some basic MTSS questions. So what kind of Tier 1 data was actually collected? I'm talking about discipline records, parental communication logs, rewards and consequences, and then what kind of follow-up was actually done with those in those situations with the students, the staff, the parents. Was the current administration evaluated for implementation fidelity, as teachers are at the classroom level? What inconsistencies in expectations, consequences, and communications were identified? What alternatives were considered prior to this decision, such as, I don't know, hiring a behavior specialist or even instructional coaches? And to that point, why is the principal going to be expected to be the primary instructional coach next year for a new math program? That's not his job. He should be there to support teachers, yes. But to say that we need a whole new person simply because this is now going to be his use doesn't really align with good best practices. Right now, we're being told that one additional administrator will somehow succeed where an entire system has not yet been built. But one of the assistant principal's primary roles is disciplinary. It's authoritarian in nature. So it's not therapeutic behavior support. That does not replace the function of the WIN room, which is written into many student plans and relied on by teachers daily. Even my own son, he's a phenomenal child. His teacher freaking loves him. But he'll go because it's a calm place. Sometimes after lunch, he did it a lot in 2nd and 3rd grade when he was on sensory overload. This was a place that he needed to get through the day. He wasn't a behavior problem, but he needed that space, and you're taking it away from kids like him and others who need it to function during the day, either through a legal document or simply because they recognize their own needs. This decision was also made with extraordinary speed. Only just a few weeks ago, per the letter that came out, May 12th, that's when this was approved, right? And now suddenly we have a candidate that's ready for a meet and greet. I don't know about you, but to me, that seems like a predetermined outcome. It does not feel like something that the district has taken time to review and think about and truly think through all of the data and look through all the possibilities and alternatives that could better support our teachers and our students, or even our parents. It's a rushed decision yet again. That is frustrating as a parent. The community is not asking for perfection. I don't expect that from you. I don't. You're human. You're doing the best you can with the information you have. However, we expect you to use your expertise and to do better. What we're asking for, what we're looking for, is a process for data, for evaluation of leadership effectiveness before restructuring an entire student support system. And last minute, mind you, with little to no community input. And genuine exploration of alternatives before eliminating programs that families, teachers, and students depend on. I truly urge this board to take a moment, take a pause, and review, do a real review. Not a singular review, not some words that have come out of some communication here and there, but truly spending time at the school, working with the teachers, talking to the students, figuring out what is going on. and then consider alternatives, viable alternatives, not rushed ones, not authoritarian ones. Some teacher comments that I have in hand as well that support some of what I've been saying, and it's not because it's not just from me. There's been poor administration follow through. They don't really trust that the administration is going to implement the behavior plans that are already in place with any kind of fidelity. They're inconsistently implemented. There's not enough time for the proper meetings that this letter came out saying that this is being done. There's been little to no teacher input taken into account. And again, just not enough consistency. You can't rush to a decision that is based off of, I don't even know what. I want to say fear, misunderstanding. I don't know. It seems to me that you're looking for a heavy-handed solution to a situation that requires a lot more thought and care. And I hope you'll really consider that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hang on one second, ma'am, before you get going. What's that? Not now. Would you mind if one of the school board members asked the superintendent a question?
Thank you. Mary, when was the WIN room implemented?
It's been an evolution. I don't know when it was originally called the WIN Room. I mean, it may be 5-6 years. It started with Joan Berry, was a paraprofessional who was running a space similar. And then it did evolve over time into being called the WIN Room. And then we changed it to being a program assistant versus a paraprofessional.
Thank you. Ma'am? Sure. Would you mind going to the microphone, please?
Ginger Donaldson Meredith. It used to be called Student Support Services probably about 30-something years ago. And then it was changed to Support Center, SC Room, and then it became non-existent before 2000, or maybe 2000. Other people over there that are teachers, let me know. Then in one set of administration, it was non-existent. We had this walk talk situation that took up 5 or 6 people every day. And then other students were non-compliant in the classroom and then had no services, no help, and teachers were left on their own with terrible situations in the classroom. So we asked and asked and asked, and then that's when the WIN room might have come back 3-4 years ago. So it was what I need now. And that's been successful and helpful. Joan, I don't know if Joan was part of the WIN room. I don't think she was, because the WIN room came on after the walk talk situation.
Thank you.
But the SSS room has been around for a long time.
Ma'am?
Hello. My name is Kirsten Foster, and I live here in Meredith. So I'll read my letter so I stay on task. School board members and concerned community members. The recent letter from the elementary principal and the superintendent about changes to the instructional structure of the school has stirred up a lot of conversations. Many here are advocating for their children a program that has affected their children and the overall education of our community. I have seen remarkable changes with my first grader because of the successful utilization of the WIN room and their strategies. When I asked him how he uses the WIN room space, he said, "I can go and get my wiggles out." Eliminating the WIN room space will greatly impact his school success. He uses the room to calm himself before academics, to find a quiet space for a few minutes, a space that he can push in chairs and feel helpful. He also uses it when his behaviors overwhelm him. Mrs. Brogan uses her years of knowledge and calm to help him get him back on track, and get him back to class where he can learn. It's never a punitive experience, but a skill building opportunity. Which is, as stated for this, the approach that is slated for this September has not been identified, created, or tested. And this unclear and untested approach is going to lead to further escalation of behavior. The superintendent stated that behavior at the younger grades is escalating to include 25% of the students. That number is drastically higher than the stated Tier 1 numbers outlined by the MTSSB information, meaning that the strategies that are being used and implemented currently either are not being used correctly, they're not being implemented correctly, or there's a lack of fidelity within the process. Why are we spending money on a consultant and an additional assistant principal and not a behavior specialist? Those are big concerns. Reducing class sizes or student ratios reduces numbers and behaviors. Both strategies that families have brought up multiple times during the strategic planning events that we had last spring. And it's also an idea that's supported by teachers. Reduce the class sizes, help with the student ratios. Or returning to the classroom-specific paras to address such challenges at the younger levels. Additionally, a principal being removed from the Tier 2 and Tier 3 teams to address a curriculum change, if behaviors are this chaotic, it is not time to start a new curriculum. The principal is responsible for leading the school and supporting all staff, not managing curriculum questions. The district has a paid person to take care of curriculum, a curriculum coordinator. That is that person's job. Ultimately, this is not a community-wide issue. This is a culture and leadership issue. If it was a community-wide challenge, behaviors would also be increasing in Sandwich as well. And these behaviors are reported to be isolated just at the elementary school at Meredith. Adding another administrator to the payroll is not going to lessen behaviors until the root cause of behaviors is addressed. Leaders need to be creating a more positive, welcoming environment to the students, the staff, and the family. This is where the supportive culture begins. If the current administration team is not able to implement these basic steps of the first tier of the program, of the MTSSB program, produce a positive culture, then, and as the superintendent's letter outlines, then this is a potential fatal flaw to this whole proposed challenge and change. A culture that welcomes input and constructive feedback does not approach teachers with a quote saying, "We're shaking things up." There are multiple families that live in our community and work in our schools. And it is important. And also, it's really rare that we have the opportunity to have our educators within our community. These people and these educators are parents first, and they need to be able to come to administration and have the utmost respect for their feelings, and they should be able to feel comfortable coming to events like this and being able to speak up without recourse. Interlakes has a tremendous resource in the WIN room. Why not take those successes and make some modifications, build upon these successful aspects? A punitive punishment system will not work. Bribing children with candy to behave will not work. What works is strong culture, a strong community, and connection with in-classroom educators, not more administrators. Thank you for your time this evening and consideration.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Champlain from Meredith. Good evening, members of the board. I'd like to address this broadly, I would like to address the board directly regarding communication, responsiveness, and accountability to the taxpayers and families of this district. First, I want to publicly thank both Abe Guerin and Siobhan Connolly. You both promptly responded to my initial emails regarding serious concerns at the elementary school. More importantly, you took the time to truly acknowledge my concerns as a parent and a taxpayer. Thank you for your leadership. Unfortunately, that standard was not met by the rest of the board. Mr. Hanson, Mr. Locke, and Mr. Twaddell, wherever you are, you responded only after I sent follow-up emails. When you did reply, you more or less stated that you would pass my concerns on to Ms. Moriarty. And Mr. Porter Zuckerman, I sent you an email May 20th. Today marks exactly 20 days that an email from a taxpayer in this district has gone completely unanswered. I want to remind the entire board that you were voted into your positions by taxpayers. We placed our confidence in you to represent us, to listen to us, and to take our concerns to heart. Simply replying that you will pass a problem along is a deflection, not leadership. I deserve a meaningful, factual response. And Mr. Porter Zuckerman, failing to respond at all, it constitutes to a constituent is completely unacceptable. As elected officials, your oversight is vital, especially when many people in our community are voicing their concerns with leadership within our school. I expect, and the taxpayers of this district deserve, a higher standard of accountability and communication moving forward. I urge you all to seriously take into consideration the taxpayers and parents what we are saying tonight, and to know that despite what you're being told by the SAU, things are not okay at ILES. Our teachers are exhausted, broken down, and feeling ignored and unseen. For far too long, this board has believed everything they are being told by administrators and our superintendent. It is time to wake up and listen to the teachers' concerns. They are the ones who spend time with our children, listen to parents' concerns, and put their heart and soul into the youth of this district. Yet time and time again, they are not consulted, celebrated, or even appreciated. They have stayed silent for fear of retaliation by the superintendent. It is time for the board to step up and commit to making sure our faculty can share their ideas and concerns and that their jobs remain protected. Parents deserve real responses to our emails, our teachers deserve respect, and our children deserve better. Teachers were informed during their lunch breaks, a handful of them, that they wouldn't be teaching the same grade level next year. The announcement came without warning, compassion, or consideration for the impact such a significant change would have on staff. Many were left shocked and distressed, yet were expected to immediately return to their duties and pick up students from recess with no opportunity to process the news or regain their composure. As one teacher stated, this is the last straw. After years of ongoing issues and repeated attempts to improve things by working within the system and following the proper channels, our voice are not valued and are actively silenced. Many staff members believe that the current administrative leadership is ineffective and at times unprofessional. Communication from leadership has become a significant concern. Teachers report that emails sent to the principals regarding important questions, concerns, and requests often go unanswered, leaving staff without the guidance, support, or responsiveness they need to do their jobs effectively. The challenges facing the district are not the result of lack of administrative positions, or rather the lack of effective leadership. As a result, talented and dedicated educators are being pushed out. There is a growing perception that Superintendent Mary Moriarty is unwilling to listen to staff concerns and does not want the school board to hear them either. The number of administrators who have come and gone at ILES and the high school during her tenure raises serious questions about leadership stability. Likewise, the repeated cycle of failed interventions, costly consultants, purchased curriculum, that are later abandoned, and other examples of wasted resources have contributed to a toxic work environment. Many educators feel these issues ultimately stem from district leadership and a lack of authentic respect for and support of staff. Teachers want to be heard, valued, treated as professionals whose perspective matters. Without meaningful change, the district risks losing even more dedicated employees and further damaging staff morale. Our current assistant principal was presented to the staff as someone with extensive experience in student behavior and as a leader who would help strengthen behavioral supports throughout the school. Unfortunately, many teachers feel that this experience has been quite different. Teachers report that behavioral plans and interventions carefully developed by classroom teams are often undermined rather than reinforced. Staff frequently collaborate with families, specialists, and support personnel to establish consistent expectations and support for students, only to see these efforts disrupted by administrative decisions that contradict the agreed upon plan. There is also significant concern regarding the inconsistency of behavioral responses. At times, inappropriate behavior appears to be reinforced through rewards, such as candy, food, Pokemon cards, or other incentives. In other situations, students receive immediate and emotional disciplinary responses that can result in suspensions or other significant consequences. The lack of consistency makes it difficult for students to understand expectations and predict outcomes for their actions. Children thrive with expectations, interventions, and consequences, and when consequences are clear and consistent. When responses vary dramatically from one situation to another, students receive mixed messages. The work being done by teachers and support staff becomes increasingly difficult. Many educators feel that this inconsistency has created confusion for students and frustration among staff who are working hard to provide stable, effective behavioral support. And I just want to say a few things to add to this, in that I have been contacted by upwards 10, 15 of the faculty members in this school. And I will keep them anonymous because they've asked me to keep them anonymous, because they are terrified of speaking out and being retaliated against and losing their jobs. These are teachers that live in our district, they are taxpayers in our district, and they have a say. And for too long, they have not been listened to. They are the ones that are in the school with the kids on a daily basis in the classroom, not the administrators. And nobody is listening to them. They are terrified. I am so proud of the ones that showed up today, and I am proud of the ones that stayed home because they were worried about losing their jobs. And don't tell me you didn't know this, because there's one person on that up there that 100% knows this. And our children are suffering because of it. We do not need another assistant principal. What was working was the win room. What wasn't working was the current leadership at our school. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Renee West and I'm from Meredith. Good evening, members of the board, administrators, and fellow community members. I'm here tonight as a parent and a concerned member of this community. I'm also here because the people who dedicate their lives to our children every single day deserve to be heard. And because our students deserve decisions that are made with their well-being at the center. So let's begin with what was lost. Staff recently received notice that the Win Room at Interlakes Elementary School and the Student Support Center at the Middle High School would be closed. The positions of Jane Brogan and Joanne Joy would be eliminated. Two people described by colleagues and families as absolutely essential. And as my children describe, for Miss Joy particularly, because they're in the upper school, a hero, as someone who they feel safest going to when they needed a break, or who understands them and helps them understand their behavior choices. She sees my kids for who they truly are. And now she's gone. You've taken that safe place away. These eliminations were not abstract budget line items. They were real supports for real children. Board members, are you aware of how many students actually rely on the supports at the elementary school as well as on the upper? There's a behavior crisis. According to the district's FAQ, 25% of students are engaging in escalated behaviors, and teachers have been asking for help, and they've been asking for behavioral support specialists. But what they received was another assistant principal. Administrative support has value, yes. But when classrooms are in crisis, when a teacher sometimes stands as the only adult in a room with a child who is dysregulated and in distress, was the answer really another administrator rather than a behavioral specialist who could work directly with those children every day? Teacher morale. I need to say plainly what many people in this room already know. Morale at Interlakes Elementary School is in crisis. The district cites teacher retention between 90 and 100%, and that as evidence that things are fine. But retention is not the same as satisfaction. Retention is not the same as wellness. People stay in jobs for many reasons: health insurance, pension, family circumstances, and they'll stay even if they're unhappy. But a teacher who stays and is demoralized, unsupported, and afraid to speak up, well, that is not a success story. So we ask the full board tonight, will you commit to a transparent staff climate survey with results shared openly with faculty and with our community? To the board, some of you have heard our concerns from the community members over the past few weeks. Some of you have expressed openness to gathering more information, and we truly appreciate that. I want to be clear that the concerns raised tonight did not come from social media, as some of us have heard. They came directly from teachers and from parents, from people who are in these buildings every single day. And our teachers, they're not asking for perfection. They are asking to be respected and included. They are asking for decisions to be made with them, not done to them. Our students are not statistics in a behavior report. They are children who need stability and consistency, and the teachers who know them best. This community is watching, and we are hoping that tonight marks the beginning of a different kind of conversation. Please. One built on transparency, on trust, and on the shared belief that every child and every educator in this district deserves better. Thank you.
Thank you. Just one moment before you start. Mr. Parsons, I've lost track. Oh, there you are. Do we have any online comments? Thank you. Sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
Nope, that's okay. I'm Sarah Thompson, Meredith. I wrote some notes as I was sitting here because I felt it was important for me to attend tonight. I'm also a public school worker, or public school employee in a different district, and I will address the fact that I do believe one thing that you guys are up against is that times are changing. It's not the same world that it used to be, But I really do believe that what's happening here is a systemic issue. First, with the staff being told last minute about changes being made, and also from parents getting an email after a long weekend that someone found out in May that they're going to be losing their job as it currently stands is beyond unacceptable. It's despicable, actually, in my opinion. My question, though, would be what led to that decision? So what data tracking system were you using to come to that decision? At my school, we use SWIS or PBIS, the Positive Behavioral, whatever the rest of it stands for. Anyway, there has to be some data tracking method rather than what we're told. It at least would make some of us be a little bit more understanding or reassured as to what was being used. I'm not sure if there is something.
Sure. We use Alma. So at the stage,
So do you
behaviors
have-
are being tracked through Alma, and there is a committee that has been meeting and talking about data, as well as the building administration has been reviewing the data. So
Thank you.
we are tracking.
My
the data.
question would be, where is it?
Where
Can I see this? Like, we should be
So-
able to see the percentages of the students and the types of behaviors that are happening.
So that is, they run reports using Excel, pulling it from Alma into an Excel spreadsheet and sorting. So it's a little different than Swiss data.
And is it public? Is it
So
accessible?
it is attached to student name. Could that be redacted? Could
Yeah.
reports be created? That absolutely is something that could happen as some ongoing communication. I think it's really important. I think there is a little misunderstanding. We are in the infancy of trying to get a multi-tiered system of support. We are just at the very beginning stages. I know other schools are farther down that field than we are.
May I continue?
Yep.
I'm just going to interject. Thank you. I appreciate you mentioning the data. I think that would be important, especially for staff. I understand the need for privacy, of course, 100%. However, it makes, when decisions are made, we need to be able to access data to make those decisions. We all know that. If we look at any test scores or any systems that are working, you have to look at data to make those informed decisions. And it sounds like, from hearing from people, I know my 2 children have never been to the Wind Room. Conversely, though, they don't like going to school because they don't feel like it's a positive place for them to be. So I'm here tonight wondering, why is that? And I know that my kids are not the only 2 who probably feel that way. They adore their teachers. But what I also am curious as to how these situations are handled. So when a child goes to the Wind Room, what happens? Is there a parent meeting follow-up? Is there a slip that goes home? Is there a contact? And the reason why I'm asking these is hearing from other people whose children do go, the ones who go on a more regular basis, it sounds to me, and I apologize if I'm speaking naively up here, it sounds to me, though, that the people that go regularly, that might be part of their plan and that's documented and tracked. But the kids that just go, and it was mentioned in the letter 2 weeks ago that there's 2 conflicting purposes, which I totally understand with the Wind Room. There's a conflicting responsibility, including a disciplinary holding space. So I'm going to circle back to the idea that I think this is a systemic issue. You have 2 problems going on. One is the room is used for the things that have already been mentioned for sensory needs and other calming spaces. And then to be a disciplinary holding space sounds almost like we're talking about a mini jail. As a reader of this, and I'm really not trying to mince words, I'm serious when you hear that, and I totally get it. You have to have a place for that, but why fuse the 2? And on top of that, my other question would really be, or my other point that I can think of at the moment would really just be, it was mentioned that with switching to 2 administrators, they would have 1 para supporting it. And I would like to understand the difference between a para supporting 2 assistant principals versus the current program assistant and what that would look like. Why the change?
So a building administrator has more, one is a certified staff member and has more responsibility that they're able to take on than the program assistant position. And so being able to increase the level of responsibility that position can take on, assisting with parent meetings, have more opportunity for more of that contact with parents. One of the areas I think that we worry about is students and the number of times they might be in the Wind Room. Are we having the conversations that need to happen so that is not a regular occurrence, that we can develop a good plan and that we can follow through on that plan, that we have the bandwidth to do that? Those are the pieces that we are hoping the additional assistant principal will be able to support, so that we're able to split the building into grade level bands that the two assistant principals will have oversight over, and then the paraeducator would be there supporting them. What I've indicated earlier is I am recommending tonight that the board consider an additional paraeducator for both the Student Support Center at ILES and the Student Support Center at the middle high school. I think that will help us further with what I think are some conflicting needs. That conflicting need continues. Students who might need to reset before so that they can go back to class and attend to what is being done in the classroom, or maybe there's students who it's part of their plan to take a break and it's more of a sensory moment. So trying to have a little more bandwidth to do that, I think is an important piece. I do think it would be clarifying for people. We have been trying to have, we've had contracted services for behavior consultants. Unfortunately, our provider has not been able to meet the full commitment. We have, and I'm looking for Mrs. Holliday, has spent a lot of time trying to find alternatives. We are really pleased to report that for the first time next year, starting July 1, for summer school, that we will have that behavior specialist support at ILES that we've been hoping to have. So I think that's another key component here. That would be, is all part of helping to shape and build a multi-tiered system of support. I think what I was trying to say earlier is that is in its infancy. We do not have fidelity yet. We are really in the beginning stages. And so the goal is to get enough bandwidth to get to that level of fidelity.
The last thing that I'm thinking of, thank you for sharing that and those changes, but I think that goes back to the issue earlier that the staff has incredible strengths, incredible training, and they don't feel supported. It's very obvious from hearing from my children and from hearing from staff members who I know that they're not, and you have a serious problem on your hands that you have almost the whole entire staff from one school here. You should really, as a school board, be looking and seeing what the problem is, because it seems pretty clear as a taxpayer and also a public educator in a different school that there's something going wrong. If we were an award-winning school so many years ago to now be at this place, I would really encourage you to think about what can you do to invite families in more, make the families be a part of the solution and the teachers be a part of the solution. Please do not ostracize us anymore. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Harrington, and I live in Meredith. I'm here tonight to speak, and I did type it up, so I'll be quick. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of my family, including my partner, David Levesque, who could not be here tonight. We both did email board members, and I want to thank all of you for responding to us. Not all of you, but most of you. And I can't read because I don't have my readers on, but I really want to thank Board Member Locke. You sent a very thoughtful email. Will you raise your hand? Which one? Thank you. You sent a very thoughtful response back to me, and I really felt heard, and I just want to say thank you publicly. I want to start by saying we have the utmost respect for school board members, superintendents, building administration, teachers, staff, and families. And I say that because Dave is a high school principal. I'm also a school business administrator, so I mean that. We have the utmost respect. We appreciate the time and the dedication it takes to be a board member, and we fully understand how time-consuming it can be. So thank you for holding this meeting tonight and hosting it in a way that allows community voices to be heard. I'm going to skip over some because other people have said it. Even with the responses received and communications sent out to families, the concerns for us remain the same. It is difficult to understand the rationale behind adding a third or a fourth full-time administrator to a building so small while cutting vital student-centered positions in both schools to accommodate this. Every reason stated contradicts that cut. There still, to us, seems to be no evidence supporting adding a second assistant principal, and it really just screams that the current administration is ineffective. While we fully support the implementation of MTSSB, as we both have successfully used this framework in other districts, we want to acknowledge, and Mary, you did just say this, it takes years to get this in place with fidelity, and it is not easy and it's not quick, and it takes years to implement, requires very strong leadership, strong communication, highly structured meetings, and staff commitment. I am very concerned about cutting Ms. Joyce's position at the middle high to accommodate an additional administrator at the elementary. How will the middle high students, a larger school than the elementary, be served in this absence? How will the shifted workload impact other middle high staff? Has the board considered the serious implications that are already being felt right now by her termination? She is beloved by staff, students, and families. Not everything can be numerically calculated and anchored in data. What she provides, as Ms. Brogan does, is she supports personal and organizational health at the school, which lends to a positive culture and climate where students and staff can thrive. I understand the need to update and modify the Win Room, and I really appreciated the conversations about that. And it is a question that every concerned parent that I have spoken to shares with me is, why wasn't this already brought up? Why now? Why so late in the year to do this to someone? And she just said it, in May. You're terminating this person in May. In closing, hiring an additional administrator for a small school is a wasteful use of tax dollars and a model not supported by evidence or best practices, and we do not support this decision. The idea that an additional administrator will solve problems that appear to be resulting from ineffective building leadership, systems and structures not being implemented with fidelity, low culture and climate, etc., is an unreasonable expectation. Regardless of the budget's bottom line, it is still incumbent upon the board and the district to use our taxpayer dollars wisely, and this is not wise. We further do not support the termination of Ms. Joy or Ms. Brogan, and I implore you to reconsider that decision. It is not too late to walk that back. Interlakes Elementary School has amazing teachers and staff, and I am hopeful the board will provide a way for their voices to be heard anonymously. I believe I said this in my original email, but it is well known that the staff there are very unhappy and feel unsupported and targeted when speaking up. Watching the morale of the building sink over the last 2 years has been incredibly hard to watch, and my kids come home and talk about it. I am thankful my youngest will be at the middle school next year, but I am very worried about the future of Interlakes Elementary School and the number of staff who are actively job searching. If staff don't exit this year, they surely will in the next year. And not because they don't love Interlakes, and not because they don't love our communities, and not because they don't love Interlakes Elementary School. It will be because they cannot continue to function under the current elementary school administration. Lastly, I just want to say, great leaders anchor themselves in relationships with staff, with students. They know everybody's name. It's all about that. And that is not happening. And so anyway, thank you for letting me speak and for hearing all of us tonight. And I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ginger Donaldson, Meredith. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you for serving on the board. I'm sure it's a very hard position to be in. I worked at Interlakes for 25 years, and I loved it. The last year there was the worst year of my career, unfortunately. Everybody's heard that the support center, Win Room, everything has been in and out. It obviously is needed. Lots of things have already been said here. The morale at the school is terrible. The teachers do need to be heard. It's sad. I was out to dinner with some people on Saturday night, and I was telling them of this meeting happening, and they said, "Why do you care? You're gone." And I'm probably going to get upset. And I said, "Why do I care?" Because I care about education, because I care about the children. I didn't do this for 40 years because I don't care. Because I care about the people that I work with. Because I care about those people over there. Because I built a team with people. I care about education. It's sad to hear and see people that I worked with for years falling apart because they don't want to be in education anymore. I wanted to be a teacher since the first day of first grade. And that changed in middle school. And I wanted to be a special education teacher. And I did that. And I have a special needs child. And it's the greatest gift I have. She's taught me more than I've taught her. And anybody that has a special needs child knows what I'm talking about. But things do need to change. And I hope the board goes into the classrooms, sees what's going on, talks to the teachers. And I always invited people, parents in, come in, see what I'm doing. Don't ask. Walk into my room and sit yourself down and see what's going on. Come uninvited, because I'm not putting on any dog and pony show. This is what I do, and I welcome you in any single day. We have a curriculum coordinator, and it is my belief that curriculum coordinator would roll out the new math program. If I'm not mistaken, I think the curriculum coordinator has a math degree. That would stand to reason that she would roll out the math program, but maybe I'm wrong. Also, if the behavioral consultant, I think her name's Patty something, that's been hired, why wouldn't that person give the assistant principal and the principal the new techniques and whatever to the discipline and behavior problems? Why hire another assistant principal? We did just have the the school district meeting that I heard a lot of people say, we can't keep on affording these taxes. What the heck? Stop adding money to our, I just retired. I still work another job because I need to pay, bills. So now we're going to add a behavior specialist, and we're going to add an assistant principal, and we already have a principal and an assistant principal. And don't we pay a lot of money to Bill White, who has a behavior specialist people too? Don't we have 2 assistant principals at the high school? Don't we have a dean of something or other there too? We are top heavy in this district. Top heavy. But we're getting rid of 2 extremely important paraprofessionals that greet our students every single day, many times a day. That's just unbelievable. We're hurting our children. That's my feeling. And then tonight, Mary, I did hear you say we'd like to reinstate a paraprofessional. Was this assistant principal and behavior specialist a knee-jerk reaction because all of a sudden the behavior that when I read the letter that you sent out over the weekend, it seemed as though maybe you realized there was some behavior problems my last year there, and then again this year? So let's do something fast. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. We don't need another assistant principal. Something needs to be done with the current things that's going on. I think I heard you just say, so these notes we need bandwidth, and we need to, I might have misunderstood, but I wrote down 444. Like, are we going back to that? We had that. We had a 444 concept. We went to the K through 6. So maybe I misunderstood. But we don't need. I believe
what I said was a K to 2, maybe a focus on the K to 2, and then 4 to 6.
Okay, but
3 to
we
6,
don't need. We are so top heavy in this district. It is crazy. We need to cut at the top. It's my feeling.
So may I interject something? Mrs. Holliday, could you just share how long have you been trying to get our behavior consultation time increased? Okay, so you just said for 3 years you've been working on that, and we do have a commitment for somebody for July. So that has not been something that's been a knee-jerk reaction. It's been something we have been actively working on, not only with one provider, but multiple providers. Thank you. I would like to just also clarify the 2 positions that were reduced are program assistants. They are different than paraeducators. So what I have recommended that the board consider through fund balance. So the model right now, without this additional 2 paraeducators, would be 1 paraeducator for the middle high school to support student services, 1 paraeducator at ILES to support student services. I am requesting fund balance this evening to put an additional 1 at ILES in student support and an additional 1 at the middle high. These are not program assistants that I am suggesting. I am suggesting paraeducators.
Ma'am, before you do, you've already spoken once. Let me just see if there's anybody who has not spoken yet who would like to speak. And then you can go after we're through all those. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you've got somebody online that would like to speak.
I have no children in school.
Let's get closer to the microphone.
Down? Oh, she's going up. Oh, closer. Okay. I'm Charlene Pezzo. I live here in Meredith. I have no children. I have had no children in this district, but I'm very confused. One, I agree with what everyone else is saying about why are we hiring another assistant principal for such a small school. My kids happen to go to Pinkerton Academy. They only have 3. Again, they had 3,000 students. That's why they had 3 vice principals. So I don't understand the need for an elementary school to have 2 plus. But the other thing I'm concerned about is you're reducing the program specialists. Is that the right word? Okay, the program assistants for anyways, you're reducing them, but now you're talking about hiring 2 more para educators. So why can't we just keep the program assistants who have all the experience and knowledge about the children already? Why are we bringing in new people that do not know the children? Therefore, it's going to take a long time. And I know I have a daughter who's an educator and I have a granddaughter. And I know when they get their elementary and when they get a new student in that has an issue, it can take months to figure out what that issue is and how to address it so that the child can indeed go on and be success at school. So now you're getting rid of 2 people that know these kids very well. You're bringing in you have 2 paraeducators who I don't know where they're coming from, 2 new paraeducators who don't know the kids, and you want an assistant principal who doesn't know the kids. I don't care. I don't care about having I know you have to have, it's like a master's to be an administrator. I know that. But that doesn't mean they know the kids. And that is the important thing, to have that knowledge with the kids. So I just am very concerned as a taxpayer, because my taxes are going up, by the way, as everyone else is here, and they're going up significantly. And you're trying, I know, not to increase taxes, but you're hiring 2 extra paraeducators. So where's that money coming from? Who else are you going to let go? Who knows the kids? Again, as they're saying, it's for the children. Remember, it's the children. And if the students, teachers don't feel appropriate or feel able to really reach out to kids because they feel a retribution, then we're all doing the students, the kids, bad. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Up back, please.
My name is Alyssa Ryan. I'm a resident of Meredith. And to be honest, just before I start what I was going to say, I thought I had borrowed time. So I didn't say anywhere near as much as I intended to, which is kind of what everyone else is also saying. But just tried to focus more briefly on our experience and then also the concerns. And I have a few questions for qualification or clarification. That said, I'm a parent of a student at Interlakes Elementary School with ADHD, sensory processing challenges, and social emotional needs, as well as an IEP. I'm also a board certified psychiatric nurse practitioner who specializes in psychiatry and mental health. So I know a little bit, that's all I'm saying. So for my son, the value of the WIN room was never the room itself. The value was at the support model that represented trusted adults, regulation support, problem solving, relationship repair, and helping students successfully return to their learning, which is the whole goal, right? And this is further meaningful to me because in the beginning, when it was simply just Mrs. Geib and Mrs. Brogan and the WIN room, I felt that my son was generally seen for his best efforts and not his worst moments. And those 2 making clear efforts to understand and work with my well-meaning, unintentional, yet neurodivergent and neurodevelopmentally challenged child. That's not his fault. They see the positives, they see the worth, they see the effort, they see the strengths, not misinterpreting unmet needs underlying or dysregulation for willful or intentional behavior or quote misconduct. It was when the school and others involved in the district, no offense, that I began to fight tooth and nail for the truth and innocence of my son to be acknowledged and supported, and the legal supports that he was already getting largely in place, plus the additional supports he required. Unfortunately, that required surpassing a 20-page document using some legal words and lots of things to get him all the things he was entitled to. And I understand that a room I guess, in terms of the win room. Legally, that room can be renamed, repurposed, or eliminated. My concern is not solely the room itself, although the room is freaking awesome and they're phenomenal. And it's been life-changing for our family. But I'm also very concerned in how the supports, relationships, interventions, and accommodations and expertise clearly provided through that model will be preserved, because those supports cannot legally disappear simply just because the room does. And because that's my actual job, just indulge me a bit while I geek out. When I talk about behavior, I think it's important to recognize that all behavior is, quote, the same. There is behavior that involves intentional misconduct, aggression, elopement, and all of the safety concerns discussed. There is also behavior that represents communication, like the behavior is the communication. That's what like the disability and neurodevelopmental stuff is. Dysregulation, sensory overwhelm, executive functioning difficulties, lagging skills, emotional regulation challenges, and disability-related needs. Your frequently asked questions appear to focus heavily on aggression, elopement, disciplinary concerns, and increasing administration demands as justification for the change. It also specifically references additional expertise, credentials, skills, and experience as justifications for the new model. So I do have a few questions. Can the district describe those qualifications in greater detail? Because they were very vague. In your facts, more importantly, how will those qualifications support students whose behavioral challenges stem from disability-related needs, not solely students whose behavior reflects intentional misconduct or significant disciplinary concerns? Because those two are not the same.
Agreed. And maybe Mrs. Holliday, you could talk a little bit about students who have special education needs and maybe behavior, again, it's communication issues that might be arising, what our approach is in terms of addressing those needs rather than a disciplinarian type of response.
Ms. Holliday, would you please come to the microphone? Thank you.
Mrs. Holliday is our Director of Student Services.
I'm aware, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so what we're looking at, and thank you for sharing what you've shared so far. I think some important aspects that you've talked a lot about are what's happening with students and their ability to communicate and what we're going to do within our schools to be able to help improve some of those pieces. Some of the challenges that we have are many of the challenges our students have is that ability to communicate, some of the neurodiversity that we have that's coming in, particularly at our younger grade levels. And from there, what we're trying to do is recognize that, as has been stated, is that behavior, there's a reason behind it, and trying to understand what the students are communicating, trying to be able to provide programming and evidence practices that have been able to establish a more consistent behavioral program for them. Those are those areas that you have talked a little bit about, Superintendent Moriarty, where we're trying to bring in more related to our multi-tiered systems of support so that we can provide students with more evidence-based and more practical ways to be able to help them within our school system.
I think that a piece of it is reimagining how people view an administrator, which I know is difficult. There is a sense that that's the authoritarian type of figure. We really see this more as case management for students who may be struggling and having that connection with families, with the classroom. It's an opportunity to have the ability to pull people together to help try to get resolution for where there are repeated concerns and work together on those, to develop plans, to be able to follow up on those plans, to be able to have the ability to adjust those plans. I think that is a piece that is a challenge for folks because an assistant principal does have, unfortunately, that many people associate, a lot of connotations with that name. And it really is about us building the practices to work together and to have somebody who has a credential to do that. Our program assistants are not credentialed. They are non-bargaining employees. They do not hold a certification. And, in order for us to expand some of the things that we're doing, we really do need to have somebody who's able to operate with a greater wealth of responsibilities that they can take on.
I think that's a phenomenal explanation. And like best case with my rose colored glasses on, I believe that would be fabulous, right? But like you still didn't answer what the qualifications would be, what experience, what expertise, because
So
that's not-
looking for somebody with elementary education experience, that's critical. Somebody who has, is a certified administrator, that is essential. And somebody who's coming with experience addressing behaviors and working with behaviors and working with teachers in a collaborative way to do that.
Yeah. And so I think that the stopgap I'm having kind of is that you're not really explaining anything that's actually going to be taken care of or actually like describing special education experience, coping, regulation skills, all the things that are like, you're essentially describing another assistant principal, right? And like that said, I also think I just wanted to note that when I did do quite a deep dive into looking for like this posting that you posted, it was all very much about a traditionalism. None of that. What you're seeking, great goal. Rose colored glasses. You didn't put any of that in the description. So that's all I'm saying.
So one of the things that, we've heard is a desire to have more contact with the administrators in the building. The reality is the boat is swamped. And in order for them to be able to have that level of contact with teachers, paraeducators, and families, we need some bandwidth to do that. And that's really what this proposal is trying to bring forward, is an opportunity to be able to truly realize a system of support in the building and to develop that. And that takes time, that takes, it takes a lot of energy to be able to pull people together, to have all those conversations. And the days are running out before they've even started. And that is ultimately the goal. It's the goal to be able to have more contact with parents. I think your conversation about the data, the data is something in terms of how we are able to be able to communicate that to families so that you have a sense of what's happening. Are we making progress with tier 1? Our families don't understand what tier 1 is yet because
where we're at. Can I finish? I can also pull up the job description if you'd like me to read it, because it's in complete contradiction to what you're describing. You guys are seeking to fill the position, and that's all I'm trying to say. I wasn't talking about tier or whatever. So I'll just leave it at that. But it was online. It was at a deadline of May 29th with a start date of July 1st for a description for a job that is not at all, not even similar to what you're describing. You're going to give the behavior that is intentional, willful misconduct, and disability regulation children. So just saying, there's a clear disparity. So I was asking for clarification. I'm not really getting any. So I'm just going to move on up then. So the last question I have, which is in line with the people who are asking why the people who maybe don't have a master's degree, but if relationships, expertise, and helping children, quote, thrive, are central to this new model, how will the district preserve and leverage the knowledge of the individuals who already know these children, their histories, their strengths, their triggers, and the interventions that have already been successful for them? That is a rhetorical question. My understanding is that one of the individuals with the most extensive knowledge of many of the students who appropriately utilized, quote, the WIN room and has not diluted it, has now been spending years building those relationships, was not selected to help or assist in this transition. I'm struggling to understand how the district evaluated the value of the institutional knowledge and experience when making this decision, because in that context, it would seem like Jane Brogan would be the most ideal candidate to join your beefed up administrative team. And I don't know Miss Joy, but it sounds like those who know and love her, it's likely a similar premise. Also, just for like a little added to the board, I was also surprised to learn the difficulty that Interlake Lakes Elementary School has been reporting in terms of fulfilling certain positions as of May 12th, as I applied to the Interlake Lakes Elementary School nurse position through a recruiter in March and again directly in May. Given my background as an emergency room nurse and psychiatric nurse for a decade and a half, which I think on objective measures actually makes me overqualified in a good way, yet I have not been contacted or even acknowledged about the position. So while I understand that there may be reasons I was not selected, I actually found a new job, so it's whatever. But it did leave me wondering how the district is evaluating candidates and defining the qualifications it is seeking when it describes staffing shortages and references that need the specific expertise. I also don't have an extensive knowledge of the inner workings of the morale as everyone else seems to, but I can say that it's phenomenal and astounding to me that the educators are feeling that way, yet still are trying so hard with adapting, surpassing, and giving these kids everything they deserve, even when it's hard, while also concurrently feeling that way. They're the real MVPs, and they don't deserve this, and neither do the kids who are not quite diluting the win room's intended purposes.
My name is Rhonda Humiston. I'm from Meredith. I actually had a letter to read, but you've all already received it, so I'm not going to bother because it's really a lot of what's already been said. But I will speak on behalf of Mrs. Joy. Excuse me if I get emotional. This is like a week for my son, who wouldn't probably be crossing the stage on Saturday if it wasn't for her. She's just the best lady for all of these kids. They all count on her. They can go to her for anything. She listens to them. She understands them. She takes the time to know them. And we have a new principal coming in the school. I have the utmost respect and love for a guy. I think he's great. My children love him. My oldest is actually sad that he's not going to have him as his principal. But at the same time, it's just a new face to all of these kids. And now they're not going to have Mrs. Joy. The vice principal is, or dean, or whatever he is quite new as well. This is the lady they all know, they all respect, they all understand, and she treats them the same. Like, there's this whole thing of, a kid that did something wrong over here, and whether it was a teacher or another student that reported it, and then over here is like the principal and the vice principal, and somewhere in the middle is that kid that maybe he didn't do what he was accused of, or maybe she did, but Mrs. Joy is in the middle, and she's there supporting them every step of the way and finding out what's true, what's not, and getting to the bottom of it for them. And I don't know how you're going to replace that. It doesn't seem possible, to be honest. Like, that's a huge piece of it. My son today came home and told me, I have a 7th grader and a 12th grader. My 7th grader came home and told me that he had a substitute today, that the substitute only favors her children's friends and does not like my son at all. So he chose to go to Mrs. Joy's room because that way he wouldn't get in trouble and he could actually just be there. And he literally cried that she's not going to be back because that's how important that is. So I just really ask you to rethink what you're doing because you're hurting a lot of students.
Good evening, everybody. Brad Champlain, Meredith, New Hampshire. First off, all of our teachers at Interlakes are great. And I'll be perfectly honest, if I worked for you, Ms. Moriarty, I would have quit years ago. I've been coming to these meetings and listening to you spout garbage nonstop. You make excuse after excuse after excuse. We don't need excuses. We need results and good, strong leadership. You're basically wanting to hire another administrator for the elementary school so you don't look like a failure when another set of administrators has to be let go. You can slowly but surely maybe implement one of them out. You're eliminating resources for kids that need them, as you've clearly heard from everybody else. I'm asking the board to just use common sense. Think about it. Go underneath a layer or two. See what's going on. Get involved with the day-to-day operations and listen to the teachers. That's about all I have to say. Just use some common sense. Think about this stuff. People wouldn't be here if they didn't care.
Is there anybody else who hasn't spoken yet who would like to speak? Seeing none, ma'am, you may please step to the microphone.
Thank you. Sarah Thompson again. One thing I just want to mention was my question would be for you, rather than shifting the roles per se, another possibility, I'm not sure if the board has talked about, but what about the idea of having an instructional coach come in to help the teachers to be in the classroom, an actual who program to help them if that's what's needed. I really implore the board to really take the time to talk with the teachers, because earlier someone had asked, they didn't know when the win room was created. So that really shows that disconnect between the school board versus the teachers in the school of not knowing what's actually happening in our school. To me as a taxpayer, it's really showing like, oh, the board might just be making decisions. And I understand it's a very difficult job. I thank you for doing it. But if we don't even know when this was created and we're talking about making a significant change to programming that's going to affect the children, we should be doing our homework and taking the time to look at the data and really support that. It just seems like there's, again, a huge missed opportunity to talk to families and to the staff. And that piece is such an important, vital part of the hub of education. And it seems like right now, the biggest piece of the pie is really just the leadership, the voice that's being overwhelmingly heard, and not the remainder, which is the children, the staff, and the families. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to comment on the ILES situation? Is there anybody who would like to make any other public input and other related matters?
I don't think she's here, but I do just want to say that we are thankful to Dr. Downing and wanted you guys to know that we are thankful for her, and we know she's leaving, and we want to thank her for everything that she's done to support everyone over the years, and that we wish her well when she goes to Rumney.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's it then. Well, I'm going to close public input then at 7:25. And do we have any other at this point on this matter?
Other than, again, just reiterating that under fund balance, proposing 2 additional building paraeducators to support student services should the model for the additional assistant principal continue.
Okay, thank you. Consolidated application for federal title programs.
So that was presented last month to the board, and the public has had an opportunity. It was presented at the May meeting. It's been on the agenda. Again, our title funds are all combined to continue to support our Title I programming at ILES. We've received no feedback, and so that really is what tonight is, just to acknowledge that no feedback has been provided. So we will continue to submit our application for the July 1st deadline.
Thank you. Questions from first Nancy, then Abe.
I just want to ask if we can discuss the ILES issue, raise some questions, or before we move on to other things on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Absolutely.
I guess I'll start. I haven't really formulated what I'm going to say. I spent 50 years as an educator, 25 of those as a teacher, and 25 of, well, some of those as a teacher administrator, and then the last 16 as an administrator. So, and I worked in 4 different schools, 2 for most of that time. I have a couple of things to say. When I first joined this school board, ILES was in what I perceive as a relatively similar situation. We had done a staff survey and a parent survey. We did a lot of surveys, and we did have a school board meeting with a number of teachers. And I heard a lot of similar concerns about the culture of ILES, and what I'm hearing now, I perceived it then as a lack of trust. I don't know if I heard the same references to fear, but I know enough from my own experience that when any person loses a position, everyone thinks that could happen to me as well. So I don't know if that's part of this. Whoever was talking about a systemic issue, my sense is that this is a systemic issue. And it isn't related to, well, it is related to what's happening right now and to decisions that are made. But I will say a couple of things. I think it's not, one of the schools that I was in had one of its slogans, assume best intentions of everyone. You know, how you have a slogan about respect. I do believe that every parent wants what's best for his or her child. Every teacher wants what's best for the students that they teach. Every administrator wants what's best for the school and the teachers and the administrators and the teachers and the students that they work with. I believe that sincerely. We all just have different perspectives. I have watched Mrs. Moriarty and how hard she works. I know that it's very difficult as an administrator if you have a culture that isn't functioning well. I know that just from what I've seen and heard, that the administrators at ILES are spending a lot of time kind of doing triage and responding to issues, whether those issues are individual students or special ed needs or behavior concerns or concerns of teachers. I also know from my experience that when there are issues among the adults, the behavior problem, the kids reflect that. The students feel it, they understand what's going on at some level, and they respond to that. These are complex issues. My own sense is that this plan was an attempt to try, an idea of how to fix something or respond to something. And I hope that parents and community members can understand that. It's not probably the decision that others would make. Clearly, it's not the kind of decision that anyone else would make, but part of it is influenced by our own expectations of what a leader should be, what a particular response should be to a behavioral problem or an individual student. So we all have different perspectives. What's important is to assume best intentions and understand that we're all trying to find a solution to this. I think it is more systemic than any of the specifics we're talking about, but that's my perspective. Yes. I'm talking about anybody being stressed, affecting kids. Well,
All right,
sorry.
Mr. Guerin, you wanted to make a comment?
Yeah, sorry.
sorry.
I was just going to say, I appreciate everyone reaching out. I'm sorry that it's under, sort of out of frustration and anger. I'm a relatively new board member. And I've been, in the last few weeks, pulled aside after church and at a baseball game and at football games and at the grocery store and at the gym. And I think that's a healthy thing. And so to all of the folks who have sort of reached out to us, thank you. And even if it's charged and tense, appreciate it, because I apologize, I haven't responded to everyone who reached out, but to some of the folks I did respond to, in this role, and I think someone mentioned it earlier, the sort of the perspectives you have. I have a perspective as a father of 2 children in the district and as a community member and a taxpayer, and I think about my friends, my children's friends, and what they're thinking and what they're experiencing, and my friends who are parents and teachers in the district, and I think about them. And what I've realized throughout all of this is that there are infinitely more perspectives that I could have. And so what I do really appreciate is every conversation that I've had is a new perspective, and it is something that I think all of us as board members, I think, Ms. West, apologies if I didn't get is that your name? You mentioned moving forward, like this is a moment, and we sort of move, like the moment for me, regardless of the specifics of the situation, is just, wow, there are so many perspectives. We need, we can't possibly get them all, but I am going to make an effort, and I think all of us have been talking about it as individual board members, like we need to think about, we're all coming with our own perspectives, and we're always happy to have more. So it's just a long way of saying thank you to everyone who has offered their perspective. And you might be let down by decisions we make because we're not making them in a vacuum. We're thinking about all of these constituents, but I just want to say thank you. That's a long-winded way of saying that.
Thank you, Abe. Okay.
Ginger Donaldson again, Meredith, thank you for saying that. I don't think that, or I'm going to say, I'm not speaking for anybody else, I'm not saying anything out of anger. I'm saying it maybe out of frustration for myself and others having gone through this. But I'll just go back to say, ask the teachers. I'll say that I think so many administrators or the people that are at the top making the decisions are so far removed from what is going on. And I'll say the people that are in the trenches every single day in the classroom working with the children have the most knowledge about what is going on, what is happening. And they're not being asked. They're not being involved in saying what, like this whatever, did you look into any other programs? Who's going to be, ask the people that are doing this every single day. We're not being asked. We're not being involved. We're just, hey, here, this is the next one you're doing. Too bad if you have a perspective. Too bad if you have an idea. Too bad. We're rolling out something new. Let's start, we do it every year. Oh, here's the next one. All right, try a new initiative. What do we have? A few years back, we had 20-something initiatives on this nice blue piece of paper. Here we go again. It's too much. No wonder why we're burnt out. But we're not even being asked. We're doing it every single day as hard as we can. We're the ones that know what it's like.
Thank you. Any other board
Hi,
comments?
can I speak?
Sure,
Hi.
go ahead.
Hi, Lorna Spargo from Meredith. I'm an educator. I have grandchildren in your district. I'm just curious, in lieu of all this information that you received tonight or feelings about what's going on, are you voting on this tonight? That's one of my questions. Is this being voted on tonight?
No, the intent, and unless, correct me if I'm wrong, the board wants to do something different, we were going to listen to folks
Okay.
and schedule another meeting this month.
Okay, all right. So, so then that's great because now you have the opportunity to reach out to parents, teachers, administration, and get all their feedback from all of this. Ask them questions about whatever you think is significant. Wait. Okay.
Hang on one second.
Bye.
Just hang on one second. You want to
So
respond?
I will respond. So the board had approved the hiring of an additional assistant principal, provided that the funding was found through the current budget, which was the charge I was given and which I did follow. We did go through the hiring process, and there is a candidate who we are prepared to move to the next phase. I'm not going to do that until the board reaffirms or decides not to support this proposal. I do stand by this proposal, coupled with the additional support of the behavior consultant that we've been trying for multiple years. We also need to continue to work with the behavior consultant, who is a professional developer for behavior systems, which is Polybath, to develop a multi-tiered system of support. A multi-tiered system of support is that. It is a system of support. What that looks like in your school is something that you work to build and design, and that's why there have been teams that have been established to try to do that. We are in the infancy of that work. I do not feel that we are able to accomplish that work if we do not get the extra bandwidth. I also do want to share, we have provided opportunities for input. Multi-tiered system of support was part of our strategic planning process that we had in April. We had very low attendance at that. Though that's information, we have invited people to participate, which included staff. There was low participation. In addition, both Mr. Bichet and Mrs. Martin and I were available all day yesterday from 7:30 to 3:30, available for staff to provide us with feedback and to have conversation, and a very limited number of people took advantage of that.
Hi. Okay. I hear you. Sometimes when people reach out for information, they may not understand the clarity of it or how much it weighs on their children's future at the elementary school. So I'm not sure. I don't know what you sent out to invite people in, to tell them what kind of changes you were going to make, like what you're talking about tonight. I mean, those are pretty significant. So I don't know if you put that in your information. Maybe you did. But I would like to ask the board to consider everyone's input tonight, and maybe gather some more before you make a final decision. That might be best. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can we get whoever's speaking to speak into a microphone, please? Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead at the microphone.
Ms. Moriarty, you just stated that, you and Hillary and, Ms. Martin and Mr. Bichet set up a time for the teachers to come and speak to you. Let's go back to the fact that they don't want to be fired. If they talk to you, they know there will be retributions. It has happened in the past numerous times. So I will ask the board, please do an anonymous survey. Ask them anonymously, because until they have trust in the superintendent and the board, they're going to be silent. But don't say that you gave them the opportunity to speak. They're terrified. They have families to support. They can't risk losing their job.
Thank you.
A serious claim has just been made against me, and I take that with great offense. If somebody has a concern that they have been inappropriately fired, then they should contact our HR department, and a full investigation can be completed. Because a statement like that is a serious matter, and that is my reputation that you are playing with. And I'm not okay with that, and I will not sit here and take that. So if somebody has a claim, go see our HR department, Ashley Dolph or Karen Cook, and we will hire an independent investigator to look into it. Someone who is separate of the district. I find that incredibly offensive and shameful to be said in a meeting that we are trying to support our educators.
Just want another para instead of these people that know our children.
Excuse me, I have to say, though, that the structure of this kind of meeting, I've been listening and writing 4 pages of notes as people have spoken, and I'm sorry I didn't start by thanking all of you for letting us know your perspective. we've all received letters. We are listening to this. Our role is different, right? We are a school board, but I really am concerned when attacks get personal. And we all have to assume best intentions of everyone. The administrators are well-intentioned in this school, in this district. There is nobody in this room that I assume came here ill-intentioned. There are people I know who would much rather replace what I'm hearing from. Some of what I'm hearing from you is you would much rather replace the administrators. And that may be your perspective, but please understand that what they're doing is well-intentioned. Everyone is working hard. Teachers are working hard. The paras are working hard. The administrators are working hard. Everyone cares about the children in this district. Their care may be different from yours, and the way they express it may not be satisfactory, but they care. It's been done within my tenure on this school board.
It was during
5 years ago.
2022, maybe,
Yeah.
thereabouts, 21. Ma'am,
Mr. Chairman, can whoever's speaking, please speak into the microphone?
Who do you go to for like the SAU? Who determines what grade or whatever you want to call it that the SAU gets for what they do? Do you go to, and like you're saying, here, there you go. You should be anonymously asking people that work the SAU what they think. I don't think that happens. I think you just take what the SAU said, okay, you're doing a great job. Even though you've got all of these people complaining, oh, what are we, we're just complainers, is that what we are? We just want to, and I understand that Mrs. Moriarty is taking offense, and maybe she should. Maybe she should, and maybe you should figure out if these attacks are appropriate by talking to other people. Is there a reason why they leave it alone? Is there a reason? Because I used to, I was a former public elementary school teacher in Florida, and it is every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Find out that in 4 years, it's curious. I'm curious about it.
Right.
So once again, so this is where I jump into speculation. Oh, I don't know. And this is what the whole community is wondering, because you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're coming from a place of curiosity, maybe it's coming from this other direction. But like we're curious, like why? Why does this happen? And if you don't have an answer, that's fine. But then again, perspective.
You wait 1 second.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
No, I'm saying, I think, that's a reasonable question. And I think what would be unreasonable to me would be if we came back to you with nothing after this, right? So today we're listening to you. We responded to your emails. And so when we return and we come back to you, if we give you absolutely nothing, then that would be unreasonable to me as a person, as a parent, as a school board member, right? But I think today we're listening. We're not doing anything. We're just taking the feedback from people that have elected us, right, to the school board. Me personally, that's what I'm doing. So I have pages of notes, like Mary mentioned. I do also think it is unreasonable to, publicly attack people. I'm not doing that to anybody. I wouldn't do that. I hold myself to a higher regard, even if we're angry. To publicly attack somebody over and over again, I think is unreasonable, right? I think we've heard what people are saying, so we can all be polite and civil and not make accusations. I'm not making accusations about anybody in here. I had this group over here taught my kids, and they all did an amazing job, right? Including our administration team. So for me, my experience is different. And I think just being civil is good. And I've talked to a number of folks in this room. I've responded to them, including teachers, right? I've heard from them. So I think, again, that would be unreasonable if we did nothing. You might not like what we've done. We owe you a response, but today I think we just listen to each other, which is what we're doing, and take in the information.
Thank you.
Mr. Hanson, School Board Member Twaddell would like to say a few words.
Yep, Mr. Twaddell, please go ahead.
So first, please, and this is to everybody in the audience, if you've got something to say, I'm in Louisiana. I'm dialed in because I care. I'm trying to hear you, but I can't. I literally can't if you don't speak into a microphone. So please follow Chair Hanson's instructions, stand up, identify yourself, and speak into the microphone. Second, Miss Robinson, I believe Mrs. Robinson has been waiting very patiently on multiple and has raised her hand on multiple occasions for online recognition to say what she has to say. So I would cede whatever time that I have to Mrs. Robinson to say what she has to say.
Thanks, Ed. Hang on. Mark is going to.
May I just explain?
Yeah.
So people in the community who are joining online are supposed to send comments to the comments@interlakes.org email account. So I put that into the chat. We don't have them just openly conversing on the Google Meet. That is something I could do if you would like, but after the past meeting where we had that, we made the decision to go back to, they do public comment like they used to do, send email to comments@interlakes.org. That's why this individual has not been, promoted. They've been raising their hand in the background.
And that's all fine and well, but nobody has communicated that to Miss or Mrs. Robinson. So that would have been a real easy thing to just say, please type your comment here. I acknowledge there's a little blurb in the middle there, but some active recognition of Allie Robinson would be great. We talk about hearing everybody. Let's hear from the people that are online as well.
So, Mark, are you letting the person know?
I'm with your permission, happy to. I did put in the chat to the participants where to send their comments to. But I'm happy if you allow me to promote this person. They can turn on their camera and they can speak if you approve. Okay.
Hello, I'm not sure if my audio is coming through.
You are allowed to hear.
Okay, thank you so much. It's Allie Robinson here, and my name is Emily Robinson. I'm a student of Interlakes High School. I graduated in 2015, longtime resident of the town. And I think that what everybody has shared today has really echoed all of my thoughts pretty much already, that this is a really detrimental decision. I'm a mental health professional myself. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And we have a serious problem with behavior, as everybody else has said, and eliminating behavioral support positions and adding administrators is truly the opposite of what is helpful. All data and all current material shows that. And I think that everybody here has said the same thing. And especially the reactions from the superintendent, I feel like are really honestly concerning as a community member and someone in the mental health space. These are really valid concerns that people are bringing forth, especially around retaliation. That's a really real thing, especially teachers. They're doing their best to serve students. And if that's something that they really fear coming to you, reacting in the way that you just did is truly appalling, and really saying that just incredible reaction. What kind of example is that setting for the teachers who deal with these behaviors every day, who deal with people asking difficult questions, kids breaking out in class? They are not allowed to respond in the way that you just did. And I think that is really, really, again, highlights the positions that you're also eliminating. Because not only what people have shared today about the students who receive support from behavioral specialists, program assistants, teachers do as well. This affects the entire school district when teachers lose the support that they need. So I think I really strongly encourage you, as everybody else has said, to listen to these comments. And honestly, I think you need to rethink this decision. I think this is a horrible decision. And in full transparency, I think there needs to be a vote of no confidence for the superintendent because these responses have truly not met the mark. You are ignoring the questions. You're giving filler responses. You are not addressing the real concerns of the people in this community. So I apologize for my emotion throughout this conversation because this is a very important issue to me as it is to everybody else here. But seriously, just the conduct has been really disturbing to watch. And I really hope that this can be taken in a different tone. And I seriously hope you listen to the feedback of everybody today, which has been pretty much unanimous, that this is a really horrible decision and that these people should be reinstated immediately. And adding to the budget of a paraprofessional who has no training in behavioral support is just so backwards to your own comments today, Mary, about needing a case manager, as a support. Like hiring an assistant principal is just the exact opposite of everything you've stated that you wanted to do. So I will end there. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. All right, let's try this again. Is there any other comments on the, oh, there you are. Go ahead.
Thank you. Jennifer Carton, Meredith. I want to say thank you to everyone in the room tonight and thank you to the board members. Change is hard. Change is really hard. And we heard a number of times that this change was in its infancy. What is the timeline? It sounds like from the public perspective, we're missing some data points that understand to help us understand how you're coming to these decisions. Reasonably, if this plan is adopted as is next June, what can the public expect to see as a progress? How do we know that this will be successful in meeting the goals set forth?
So, Mr. Boucher, I'm going to lean on you here to speak a little bit about what, if we have the additional support in a year, a multi-tiered system of support will look like at ILES.
So if we bring this forward and we put this through, one piece, right, we're looking to see that we have a reduction in the behavioral incidents that we would see within the school. That's obviously one piece that we would be looking at. We'd also be looking at seeing furtherance of the components of the multi-tiered system of support. So we've put some teams in place, for example, that are looking at different tiers in terms of pieces that can be put into place in school. So we would want to see that those teams are effectively using our data as we work through it to bring pieces forward. And these are teams composed of a variety of staff that bring pieces forward, whether it's school-wide at that tier 1 piece or whether it's with the new wraparound team that we have put in place, or whether it's through whatever other mechanism that those teams are going to look at. So we'd be looking at having those additional pieces put in for that MTSS component. So are they're not really the outputs, right? Because the output is ultimately the student's behavior and where we're at with that in terms of, two biggest things that we have that our data shows are primarily it's disruptions and refusals, right? So those are the ones that we're targeting at the moment to try and reduce there as well. So those are specific ones that we would be looking at.
Thank you.
It's going to take us probably a good 5 years to get fully implemented.
Is there a timeline, like a project timeline of metrics that we could expect, every 6 months, 12 months, that the public could see a report on how this is progressing?
I think that would be very important. And I think the extra bandwidth will help us make those connections with families, to be able to put that out and have that front facing for families and for the community to see that the work is having an impact.
Could we begin with the redacted Excel spreadsheet?
We can certainly begin with beginning data.
Thank you.
Hi, Amanda King, Center Harbor. A lot of my concerns have already been voiced tonight, so I'm not going to repeat what already has been stated, but I'm also equally floored by the decisions that are being made. I think first and foremost, some of the high emotion tonight is because there's been no really acknowledgement of people's concerns with the changes. You've talked about how you're going to move forward and the changes you plan to make, but I think really just taking everyone's feelings and thoughts and what people have said thus far and just acknowledging those things, like really acknowledging them, would go a long way. And unless I've missed something, I don't think that's really happened from Superintendent Moriarty, to be honest. Couple questions I had, Jim, you mentioned that you would take into account, the board's going to take into account what everyone has said tonight. Can there be confirmation that no decisions will actually be made and move forward until we're able to circle back on, and you guys have had the time to reflect on what everyone said tonight and we can come back to the table?
I would say that there will be another public meeting, just like this one is, that will be set for before the end of the month. At that time, we will take this matter up and finalize it.
Two other questions. The idea of a behavioral, I forget the exact title, in addition to the assistant principal and two paraeducators, the behavioral person and the assistant principal, are they dependent on each other? Or could you have the same platform you have today with that behavioral person in place?
I'm sorry, your last question?
You mentioned the institution of a behavioral, what was the title?
The
Consultant.
specialist.
Thank you, specialist. In addition to the assistant principal, correct?
Yes.
And two paraeducators?
Yes.
Could you keep the same platform we have now with Mrs. Brogan and Miss Joy and that behavioral consultant specialist?
So that's certainly a possibility.
Right. So you could keep what's already successful in place and add an additional resource and see what happens and reassess and then think about changes. So just pause there.
Those are all possibilities.
And then my other question is, with this assistant principal, how much student face time would that, the percentage of time, how much is that student facing?
A significant part,
How
as well
much?
as, I would say 50% students, 50% teachers.
Because I think you actually have to know that before you implement something and suggest something to the public, right? We have to actually have an idea of what that's going to look like, and no one knows what that's going to look like. You haven't defined it well. So everyone's upset because we don't understand it, right? You need to have it written out how you're going to implement a new position so people can actually understand it. That's why you're getting all this feedback. No one gets it. So I'm going to end there. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Rhonda Hummiston again, Meredith. I just wanted to say something on the retaliation piece that Mary was so offended by. I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I wouldn't be here if my kid wasn't graduating on Saturday because of your fear of your retaliation on him. I felt that way for a very long time. And honestly, I sat there wondering if I should even come up and say that because of my 7th grader. So that's not a wrong statement. I'm sure those teachers are feeling it. I felt it for years with my senior, and I would not have said anything I said tonight if he wasn't graduating Saturday.
Could I ask this gentleman who constitutes the committee that you're talking about, the team committee? Who's on that team to assess or to decide what you want to do here? As teachers? Is it teachers? Is it students? You said you had a team.
So I think the question is the behavior support team and the bridge team.
No, is this the team that's decided how this is going to be implemented?
I think you need to use the microphone, Mr. Bichet.
Yeah.
Are you asking about who put, how do we get to this proposal, or okay, so, right, so that's the 3 of us working on that primarily.
Did you ask for input on this?
This was the 3 of us at this point,
You should
using a
have-
lot of data and information that has been given to us.
As
over
well
the
as our
years.
Director of Student Services has been part of those conversations. We have been looking at how the structure is working.
Don't think maybe Joy and Joanne should have been part of that to see what they had to bring to the table, because they're the ones that worked with the children all the time and would know what works and what doesn't work? Right, that they should have been part of the team, even teachers in that area. Or I don't know if the principal and the assistant principal we have now should have been part of it. It should not have been closed. I'm a project manager. I know what it's like to have a team.
The man
My
you're speaking
team
to is the
knows
principal.
of everyone who's affected.
Yeah,
And
he is
they
the
know
principal,
everything.
ma'am, just so you know.
Okay, you're the principal. All right, but.
I hear what you're saying.
Yes. You have to have everybody know about what's going on before you can make an accurate decision.
Ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to, since the board members have begun expressing back to us, which is awesome. Actually, I'm sorry. Can you not walk away for just a brief moment? Because I actually want to address what you said. So I appreciate your well intentions, but well intentions are not going to get my children graduated. Well intentions are not going to make my child feel good when he's in crisis if that person is not properly trained specifically on those issues, on those behaviors. So I appreciate your well intentions to bring up well intentions, but it's not reality. So now you can go. But I just wanted to make sure that this school board understands that this has now gone on because you aren't really acknowledging us. I appreciate that you're going to set a time in which we can then finalize things. But let's put political speech aside and just say it feels to me that you've made up your minds and you're going to pacify us in the meanwhile and then go forward. So what the person earlier was saying said, can we get a confirmation that this will stop so this can be truly evaluated? The response back screamed volumes to me as a former educator that we're not being heard. If you want to keep your seat, start listening, all of you, because it's not feeling like that's happening tonight.
Ginger Donaldson, Meredith. So, given the fact, since degrees in educational leadership do not necessarily have significant degree of instruction in analyzing behavior, understanding, and instruction related to executive functioning, behavior programs, and similar knowledge and skill base of behavioral specialist, will the assistant principal that you've somewhat hired, possibly, have advanced training in behavior? It's a yes or no question.
So again, it will be a person that has experience and has a current collection of professional learning in the area of behavior and student supports related to behavior.
So if I had her resume right now, it would have behavior skills.
You'd absolutely see us.
So the two people that we have now, Rick Bichet and Hillary Martin, if they don't have trainings in that, are they going to be getting trainings in that, in behavior?
So they have
Specific
been
behavior?
continuing to get, it's been ongoing professional training. Again, we brought Polly Bath in, who is working very closely with the administration.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Any board members?
I would like to speak. I have to pee really badly, but I wanted to make sure that I'm listening. So I'm going to take a deep breath. It is really important to me to let you know that I have been thinking about this meeting for many weeks, since the emails became rolling in or conversations. I've heard from people in this room, you've read discourse very similar to what was communicated to us. And I've also heard from other people in the community who are more neutral, or after some questions, maybe didn't necessarily feel what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, my brain just went back to my bladder. They felt assured that there was a plan going forward. So I'm also trying to keep who's not in the room in mind as well. I want to also ensure that I hear very loudly what I believe to be is you saying to please slow down. And it also makes me wonder what this conversation or discourse would be like if it was slower. And what might we all come together and agree on if there was more time? And I appreciate and understand the frustration. And I've also heard from you, Mary, if I may say, regret at how this did unfold. And I appreciate that, because when we feel unheard, we get loud. And I also understand that when somebody oh, she's not here any longer, or maybe she's somewhere else and I lost track of her. I think it was Ms. West. Oh, you're right there. You're blue. The same color as the chair, so I apologize. I just lost my thought again. I'm so sorry. You said something and I wanted to reflect it back to you. Oh. No, it wasn't climbing Mount Major. I hope it comes back to me. So slowing down, I wanted to touch on the feedback of everybody, like I was saying. I'm so sorry. I also picked up on what Nancy said earlier about it seems like there's kind of an indirect request to change the administration rather than changing these. And I want to remind that we're not getting rid of people. It's a position, right? But Ms. Brogan and Ms. Joy are very valued, and I've had interactions just with one of them, not the other, regarding one of my children. I know that there's a lot of fear and concern, and that's coming through as frustration right now. And I welcome any other conversations that anybody wants to have with me between now and later in June. But I thank you all for this. It's difficult to witness and it's difficult to hold. I can feel in my body kind of what it's like, to shake. And I also appreciate, Kirsten, even though it is hard to speak in public, you said my name correctly. It's really hard to do when you're looking at it, so good job. I think that's all I have to say now.
Thank you, Siobhan. Anything else? Please.
Sarah Thompson, I promise I really am trying not to say anything, but I cannot go home in good conscience without this. I just wanted to mention the fact that, I don't know why I'm crouching, but I wanted to mention the fact that we all recognize that everyone in this room does a hard job. We thank you for that. I would not want to be, there's a reason why I'm not an administrator. I don't want to. A lot of the teachers, I'm sure, would feel the same way, or the parents sitting here. We thank you for all the stuff that you do. I think, again, it's really coming back to the fact that as community members, we felt, for lack of a better word, blindsided by the decision-making process without the data or the research to support the choice of the change. So we're told more anecdotally, and I want you to understand, I would think, anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're feeling that's kind of why. And there's beloved people that are involved in those positions, and it impacts so many people, which you already have mentioned. But we really implore you, at this point, it's the end of June, middle, beginning, whatever the date is. Anyway, it's the beginning of June. Why even make a change at this point? Just wait. Put a lot of time in and spend the time really thinking about it. Keep the people involved, hire the behavioral specialists, hopefully who would have the idea to help fix this, and look at your handbook. Right now, I don't see any decision-making flow chart for discipline. I saw for the bus that it's the fourth time that there's an issue, there would be a parent meeting. The fourth time So you think about these things. Let's go back to the basics and go back to the drawing board. Clearly, we all want to go home, and clearly there's an issue here, a really serious underlying issue that's not just about the hiring of another assistant principal. It goes so much deeper than that. And I really think as a school board and as an administrative team and as all the constituents, there really needs to be some time rather than just sticking, a reactive Band-Aid, so to speak. I can't think of a better phrase, but a Band-Aid on the issue when the issue runs so much deeper.
Thank you. All right. That appears to be it for now. So it is now 8:15. I'm going to have a 5-minute recess, if that's all right with the board, because I know some board members
Already
and
took our
others.
recess.
I don't know about the public. We're going to take a break and then we'll be back. 5 minutes. At 8:20 or 8.
Oh, my knees
18.
killing me.
And I meant to say that, but I couldn't stop from
You're not acknowledging emotions. She's absolutely right.
I just did, but you were in the bathroom.
No, I was in the bedroom. But
And I couldn't think of
she said it before we did it, so.
Great. Jim, we're going to get going here soon. Where did Abe go? Abe, can we get going? Thank you. I am reconvening at 8:21. We have an item that we didn't get to in non-public with the facility contract with the summer theater. Do any members, and Ed, where's Mr. Parsons?
Mr. Twaddell, oh, looks like he's back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anybody have a need to go into non-public? It's the same contract. It's a matter of if we wanted to do any other changes or edits.
Mr. Twaddell has raised his hand.
Please, can you ask him to, oh, he speaks. Go ahead, Ed.
Hey, so I talked about this, whatever, last meeting, whenever we talked about it. I have concerns that this contract does not address the use of the address and the box office and so on and so forth by the Interlake Summer Theater 365 days a year in their online marketing campaign and at their website. They're not using it the entire year. They shouldn't be saying the box office is at Interlake's school for the entire year.
Well, we have another meeting coming up, so we can make that change, right? Yep, we'll make that change. Any other changes? So we'll hold off on voting on the contract.
I was also a little concerned that I saw something about it, and maybe the time is now to discuss. There's no discussion of late fees if they're not paid, but there is a discussion of if it's like 15 days overdue or whatever, the whole thing gets terminated. I'm not sure if that is something that we need to go into excessive detail or not about. I mean, there's two different ways of looking at it. But we have had issues over the past, several years, as I understand it.
Yep.
Collecting rent in a timely fashion from the organization. So maybe a late fee is the way to do it. Maybe just terminate.
Yeah, Ed, I think probably we can go over this, some of the other if you're getting into the finer details, maybe we want to do that in non-public.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So we will continue moving on. Did we take care of the consolidated application for federal?
We did. It was just to indicate
Just
that we've received
information.
no feedback.
So we're up to lights project update.
Yes. And Mr. Swanker shared with me the ship date for the lights is on track for June 18th. So delivery is scheduled for June 18th. So
No
we should
pun
be
intended.
receiving them on the 18th.
No pun intended, on track.
Aha.
Middle school robotics coach.
So you have a proposal to add a middle school robotics coach. This will support middle school programming in the area of robotics. We've had a very successful robotics program. In this, we have been incorporating 7 through 12 under the leadership of the 7 through 12. Well, we've been incorporating 7 and 8 into the 9 through 12 program. Maybe that's the better way of putting it. And there's some challenges with that in terms of what first allows for competitions and then what it allows for supervision and then what it allows kids to engage in. So I am proposing that the board consider allowing us to add the middle school robotics coach within the operating budget as presented.
I would like to move that as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Jim. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, but as we talk about, there's already been discussion about increasing staff. We don't have to rehash that. But if we're going to, is this something, Mary, that we would see as an additional duty for, or like, what's the word I'm looking for?
It would be a co-curricular stipend.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about here, or are we talking
Correct.
about like
A
new
co-curricular
full-time
stipend.
position?
A co-curricular stipend, not a position, but a co-curricular that is open for people to take as an extra assignment, or possibly it's somebody from outside of our organization.
Okay, and what would that, I know there's a standard scale for co-curriculars and, for co-curricular A, B, C, whatever it was. We talked about this with the addition of the French club, I believe it was a while back. So what would be the stipend that we'd be adding to the budget for this?
$2,506. And then when you add the benefits, that comes up to, which is a retirement if they are an employee, and Social Security, that's $3,180
Per year or?
per year.
Okay.
Other questions?
Can I ask a quick question about that as well?
Sure.
Thank you. Is the when you talk about middle school team, does that only include the 7th and 8th graders, or is that also does middle school include 6th grade, 5th grade? How does
So
that work?
it only includes 7th and 8th grade. This includes 7th and 8th grade. At the elementary level, we do have some robotics that takes place. I don't know, Mr. Boucher, if you want to talk about what's happening with elementary robotics. I don't know if you're looking for that answer, but
I just wanted to understand when you said middle school robotics, what that entailed, because you did break it out as currently the 7th and 8th graders are considered middle school. In some districts, 6th grade is considered
Yes,
middle school.
yeah,
So I just wanted to clarify what.
So middle school for us is 7th and 8th grade.
Okay,
And we are a 7-12. We're Interlakes Middle High School.
correct.
The state does view middle school, you can't commingle 7th and 8th grade and 9 through 12 because of the accountability system.
Correct.
So we define middle school as 7 through 8.
Okay.
At our elementary schools, ILES is pre-K to 6
Mhm.
and Sandwich is K to 6.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that the middle school aspect meant adding the 6th graders, because sometimes they're on sports teams at the middle school level. So is the robotics team a similar setup, or is it?
It will be specific for 7th and 8th because we have robotics already at the elementary level.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Duncan.
I would just say, as a parent of a 7th grade robotics enthusiast, the 7th and 8th graders already participate in the program, and this would give them additional support and bring equity into families where parents aren't able to do as much for their 7th and 8th graders. That there are limitations in policy and in the program that our team participates in, where the 7th and 8th graders are kept somewhat separate from the high school team.
Okay, in that vein then, Mary, can you please articulate in concrete numbers what the additional capability of this position brings to the table? Period.
So I don't know if I can.
So Duncan just related some information like, hey, there's policy issues, there's this issue. So in terms of like, hey, you have to have one adult per 10 kids or 15 kids or 20, whatever the number is. What does the addition of this position bring to the table as far as increased capacity?
Can I speak to that a little bit, Ed?
Please, yeah, somebody.
One of the challenges is that the high school students have the ability to stay overnight in supervised overnight trips. The 7th and 8th graders could only do that if their parents got a hotel room separate from the team. And some parents go as day trips to the teams. And it basically requires a 7th or 8th grade family who's participating in it for their family to drive to Springfield, Massachusetts, or Durham, New Hampshire, or Falmouth, Maine, and spend the day. And the hope is that this would, with the Laker activity vehicles, allow some team transportation for 7th and 8th graders so that they can more consistently participate. And that is, as I understand, what's being presented.
And it's more about the ability of the current advisors for the program, which does include assistant coach and a lead coach, to be able to provide the adequate supervision. The meets are very, very busy. And 9th through 12th graders are allowed to do certain things that 7th and 8th graders are not allowed to do as part of the first program. And so that extra supervision has been put on the parents to be able to do. And again, it's a barrier because not all students have the ability to have their parents take them to these events. And so having a dedicated advisor who can really run the middle school portion will allow, I think, a higher experience for our students, because they will also be able to create some more hands-on experiences for them that right now they're kind of competing with the high school students to get that experience. And it will allow for us to take, like the Laker activity vehicle, to a competition and bring them as a group, the 7th and 8th graders, rather than being just dependent on if a student has a parent who's able to do that, because that does create a barrier for families that aren't able to take those trips to, you know, Massachusetts, Maine, and various other spots.
So I want to support this, but until this can be clearly articulated as in even more concrete, Mary, than you just put it, like, I'm not going to. Like, and we heard it loud and clear over the last several hours, the communication needs to be clear. So this will, you know, what I would like to hear is this will allow 25, whatever the number is, I don't know, 7th and 8th graders to participate in competitions that they would not be allowed to participate in because, so not all parents can do it. This will allow us to move 25 7th and 8th graders using the Laker activity vehicle and a dedicated coach to that. And I would like that to be clearly articulated, not only for this, but for additional proposals moving into the future. I think that has come through loud and clear over the last 2 hours, is we need to be very clear about what these additions to positions, changes in structure are intended to achieve.
Well, that's fine, but we have a motion on the floor. So is there any other discussion or comments on the motion? The motion is to approve the middle school robotics coach as presented. Stipend for level 4. Any other questions or thoughts?
I think supporting the robotics team at this level, in addition to the high school, is really important. It's been a really vital, wonderful part of our school community.
Thank you. Anything else, Jim?
Yeah, I would just say too, I don't think we would want to put a limit on how many kids that we can have there, like a 25 or whatever. So I would.
How many kids are you going to put in a Laker activity vehicle, Jim?
I have no idea.
You're going to put 150 kids in a Laker activity vehicle and say that it's okay. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Let's be serious. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Sorry. Are you talking FTC? Because 9 through 12 is FRC. You have the FLL program. Are you talking about adding in the middle one, the FTC team, which is 7 through 12?
So our program has been 7 through 12, but we're finding that our middle school students are really not getting the same opportunities because
Well, it's a 9 through 12 competition.
Correct. And so what we're trying to do is create more opportunities for 7th and 8th to kind of be the feeder program to the 9 through 12.
Okay.
We have programs at the elementary level. We've tried to create our 7th and 8th grade experience by attaching it onto the 9 through 12 program. And what we're finding is we're just not getting the same opportunity for 7th and 8th graders that we're able to do at the elementary level and at the 9 through 12, and trying to really build a feeder program.
Right, because they can't compete, but they could compete if they were doing either FLL or FTC, which is that middle, that gives them the hands-on construction, software programming, all of that to build up to the FRC. So but I didn't hear FTC. I didn't hear specifically what you're asking.
The 7th and 8th graders participate in FIRST in the high school program. They are allowed under the FIRST rules to participate as scouts and as adjuncts to the 7th to 12th. They're not allowed to do the drive at the drive station.
Right.
So maybe it would
But
be
they are
help-
participating currently, and this would allow greater participation in that first part of the FIRST program from the 7th and 8th grade students.
So maybe it would be helpful if I just read what the Laker Bots, who has really created the program, our coach, Joe Derrick, has proposed this. A primary focus would be collaborative mentorship and skill mastery. In this role, the coach works in tandem with the Laker Bots high school program, specifically focusing on the integration and development of middle school participants. Key responsibilities: support the Laker Bots during Wednesday's off-season meetings. This is the advisor. Attend one additional weekly meeting during the build season to supervise middle school student contributions. Direct student mastery progression, ensuring younger members are gaining technical skills. Oversee a specific, unique off-season project tailored to middle school students. Event attendance, limited attendance at Laker Bots events, day trips to provide direct supervision for middle school students. Eliminate parent attendance requirement. And then this would be a coach who prefers a mentored environment with a focus on student skill building. So
Okay. Just consider doing that robot that it's smaller, it's easier to put together. There's not as much stress involved in it. It's an excellent program.
So we'll certainly talk to Mr. Derrick about that. Again,
because
he's really.
you need something that goes from FLL
Yeah.
to FRC in the middle, which is prepared. It's already there.
Yeah.
And that's what I would hope you'd be looking at that, and not just to hang out with the, 9 through 12 and kind of learn what they're doing, but they can learn just from doing FTC. So I don't know, just.
Yep, those are great things. And Mr. Derrick, again, is really the vision behind the Laker Bots. And this came out of conversations about how we can better really create that better experience for the middle school students, as well as create the feeder program for the high school. We do have a number of seniors that are graduating, and we want to really strengthen the feeder program component.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. I'm going to put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed?
As written, nay.
Thank you. So noted. Can we do nominations?
You have 2 nominations in your packet. One is for a school nurse, one is for a part-time art teacher at Sandwich Central School. Certainly, if you have any specific requests about those individuals, that would be a non-public.
Does anybody have any specific requests where we need to consider these in non-public? Ed, have you seen these?
I have.
Any questions? Then I would entertain a motion to approve the nominations.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then we have the permission to hire, accept resignations for the superintendent. This is the one we do every year. You want to comment on that briefly, Mary?
So this allows us to take action during the summer when sometimes, something might come up. Somebody might have a family member who's been transferred out of state, and we're trying to fill a teaching position or something rather quickly before the turnaround of the school year. So it provides the superintendent with the authority to accept resignations as well as hire if we have a candidate available to fill the opening.
Anybody want to make that motion? Thank you, Siobhan. Is there a second? Seconded by Nancy. Any questions regarding this?
Given the testimony that we've heard over the last couple hours, I'd like to break this into 2 separate actions. I have no issue accepting with Mary accepting resignations, but as we talk about hiring personnel, I do have reservations about that, given the comments that we've heard over the last bit of time.
So are you going to propose a motion?
My amendment to the motion, my proposed amendment is to break this in two. I have no issue. Our amendment or motion one, delegate authority to accept resignations. Motion two, withhold authority for hiring actions until we meet in
September
August.
or August. Yeah. That's a motion. Is there a second?
I will second that motion with the understanding that we can call another meeting if we have to.
Which we already have on the table.
No, I understand that. That's why I'm agreeing with you, Ed.
Yep.
I think given the fact within the framework of the community's feeling right now, it is not unreasonable to say that if we had an emergency, we can all be reached, we can all attend a meeting. If Mary needs the hiring authority, we can give her that hiring authority. So I support what Ed is saying.
So Ed, for the benefit of the person taking the notes, you're basically looking to do it in two pieces or do
Correct.
it all as one with just additional wording?
So my amendment to this, to the motion on the floor, is to strike hiring authority and retain authority to accept resignations.
So the motion is to authorize this, basically the motion is to authorize the superintendent of school to accept resignations, period.
Full stop. Yes.
I continue my second.
Okay. Any other questions about that?
Most of the hiring that's done in the summer there's a lot of paraprofessional hiring because you've still got.
The board does not approve para-educators. That
okay.
happens
So-
through the superintendent's
all right.
office.
So the only concern I would have with this is getting a quorum in the summer, particularly in July and early August, to get a quorum of school board members to approve hiring decisions.
I am currently sitting in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and participating in this meeting.
But we have to have a physical quorum
Yeah.
when we take action, Ed. We
Fair.
can't all be in Louisiana and have
I know you would all love to be here with me.
Right, you can keep the mosquitoes.
Nancy,
I'll
I
keep the
understand. I think we should vote on Ed's amendment. And
Yes,
then,
yes, I was just making a.
you know, I agree. I understand that. And I think we can commit and figure out a way to get over a quorum if we have to.
And can I ask just a clarification? The ability to hire, is that only tied to the resignation that's been received, or is it to hire anyone, any vacant position,
So
regardless of whether
the hiring would only be for individuals covered by the ILEA or administrative contracts.
Okay, but there's not a direct, this authority is not, I've accepted a resignation, I can then only hire, I have the authority to hire into that resigned position, or is it the authority to hire into any open position regardless of when they've resigned?
So it's, if we have an opening, if the teacher resigns, then it would be to hire that position.
But if there's an existing opening going into the summer, could the hiring then happen in the summer for that open position?
Well, what I'm hearing right now is I would need to bring a quorum of the board
Yep.
together to actually complete that hiring.
If this amended.
Well, it's the only proposal. That's the motion he made, was just to.
No, we had made a motion.
I don't think anybody made a motion on the
Okay.
original one. It was just
Yeah, no, I
his.
thought we had to vote on the amendment.
So are we clear what we're voting on?
No, I think we are.
There's a motion to authorize.
The original motion was
To accept
to delegate
resignations.
the board's authority to Mary to hire and accept resignations over the summer. My amendment is to strike the hiring language and allow the board to delegate authority to accept resignations, but not to accept or not to perform hiring actions. Again, we're talking about delegating the board's authority. So authority that the superintendent already had, she retains. The board generally holds authority, as we've already discussed, for the art teacher in Sandwich, to approve the hiring of individuals. If another one of those individuals sought to be hired or applied for a position that needed to be hired, we would need to convene a quorum of the board to accept that.
So again, to be clear, in what's been said, what I've heard is it's a motion to authorize the superintendent of schools to accept resignations, period.
Correct.
That's all we need to do, because currently that's what we have to do. That's what the superintendent has to do, is to get the board's approval. So we would just be doing, there's nothing out of the ordinary.
Correct.
That's what this originally asked for, but it's not asking for that now because it's just to accept resignations.
Correct.
Okay. We clear on that, board? All right, we're going to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you very much. End of year fund balance. Do we want to kick this can down the road too? Or board members, what do you want to do with the
That
discussion?
we're talking about using existing budgetary funds for potentially, now, if I understood the discussion over the last 3 hours correctly, potentially 3 new positions. My recommendation is that we punt this to the next meeting.
Yep, that seems to be the consensus here from the head nodding I have observed. So that's what we'll do. Donations. Interlakes PTO in the amount of $2,000 to be used towards the Destination Imagination Global Finals, and Domino's Pizza in the amount of $840 to be used towards the Destination Imagination Global Finals. I'll entertain a motion to accept with
So
gratitude.
moved.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We also have Lighted Up Lakers donations, Ambrose Brothers, class of 1966, in the amount of $500. Bradley and Lynn Layton in memory of Kevin Keenan in the amount of $100. And 55 Main Kitchen in the amount of $2,000 for a banner. Accept a motion to.
Moved. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. I have no other business tonight. Now public comment is officially closed.
Chair Hansen, my apologies. We did get a public comment to the email account, but it was at 8:14 after you had closed it. They'd like it read for the record. Are you okay with that?
Why don't you go ahead and read it, because we're going to wrap it up after you read it.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me admit someone. Thank you. Sorry about that. So this is from Ashley Halsey, and the question is, did the board approve the elimination of Joanne and Jane position? If not, how does one go about eliminating said positions?
Yeah, please do,
So the
Mary.
board had directed me to find the funding within the existing funds approved for next year. They are non-bargaining positions that are covered under the superintendent's office, not under the
School board.
the school board. And again, the school board did direct me to find those funds.
Thank you. All right, so graduation is this Saturday, June 13th. Supposed to be nice weather, according to the report this afternoon. And then we, as heard tonight, we will have another meeting that'll, I'm guessing, be probably 2 weeks from today, but that's not finalized yet. We'll get that posted before the end of the week. And then, so that takes us to, then we take the month of July off, and our next school board meeting will be August 11th. Anybody want to make, sorry, we need to go into non-public.
Wait, I just want to make sure, Charlie. hi.
Yeah, sorry.
I want to make sure that my vote was counted correctly. I didn't get my voice out in time about the hiring. I was with Nancy and voting against that.
Thank you. Or we can just go in next time, right? Is those into non-public? Because that was the reason for non-public at the next meeting.
Yes. Are you saying the two non-public items that are still on the agenda?
Right.
Again, one of them is CBA related. That might be easy
Oh, right.
to do. And then
All right. So we need a motion to go into non-public.
Sorry, if you feel comfortable with the CBA ones, so that's covered
do.
by the collective bargaining agreement.
Those
might
are
be
the
able
ones
to
that are
do that.
required.
And
We
then
have
if you want to
approve them.
postpone the other requests, I don't think there will be a problem waiting till the end of June.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the CBA requests as
So
presented?
moved.
Thank
Seconded.
you. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. It is 8 minutes of 9. 8 minutes of 9.